200 cycles. Their war fleets had carved a bloody path across the Orion Arm, subjugating or eradicating 73 sentient species. Their soldiers, the Krell 8-foot reptilian titans armored in natural silicate plates, were considered the apex of organic combat evolution. Their war
Push forward! Clear the path!
powered by
On your flank!
singularity
Take
cores,
them down!
could
Copy!
crack
Moving
planets.
up!
And their emperors, Vornax had built this in a dozen fallen homeworlds. When they discovered humanity, they did not tremble. The first contact was, by Dominion standards, polite. A probe entered the Sol system, scanned the blue marble of Earths, and transmitted a single message in crackling binary after their linguists deciphered human internet traffic. You are weak. Your weapons are primitive. Your bodies are soft. Surrender your system and be granted the honor of servitude. Resist and be annihilated. The human response came not from their governments, but from a collective broadcast of every MILIT, a RY Chinese letter on the planet. It was a single word, repeated in 4,000 languages. Try. Emperor Vornax laughed. He gathered his war council in the grand hall of the sovereign Esfang, a dreadnought the size of a moon. These mammals have no armor, no psychic abilities, no energy shields. He scoffed, his triple-lidded eyes glinting with contempt. They still use projectile weapons, chemical explosives. They are children playing with fire. Send 3 Krell legions. Break their spirit in a single rotation. High Admiral Thrax, a veteran of the GR Loke genocide, offered a rare note of caution. My Emperor, their history files are troubling. They have never known peace. They have slaughtered each other by the billions over ideology, skin color, and imaginary borders. They call warfare their natural state. Vornax dismissed him with a clawed wave. Internal savagery is not strength. It is chaos. We are orders. We are discipline. We are the anvil upon which their chaos will shatter. The invasion began at 0800 GMT on a Tuesday. 200 Krell drop pods screamed through Earth's atmosphere, targeting major cities. Each pod carried 12 warriors, each warrior armed with plasma casters and monomolecular blades. The Dominion expected a rout. They expected screaming civilians and crumbling governments. What they got was the single most horrific military engagement in the history of the galaxy. Middle. The first pod to land was in Kiev. As the Krell emerged, roaring their ancestral war cries, they were met not by soldiers in neat formations, but by a middle-aged woman named Olna, a retired schoolteacher. She was holding a Soviet-era RPG-7 she had dug out of her basement. She fired from 50 meters, blowing the first Krell's chest cavity into a smoking crater. Then she picked up the dead alien's plasma caster, figured out the trigger in 4 seconds, and killed 3 more before a sniper-S round from a human sniper took out the pod-S commander. On the streets of Shanghai, a Krell squad kicked down the door of an apartment building. Inside, they found a family of 5 huddled in a corner. The lead warrior raised his blade. The father, a noodle vendor named Giants, did not weep. He did not beg. He calmly detonated a gas canister he had rigged to his chest. The explosion killed all 5 humans and 7 Krell. The surviving Krell looked at each other in confusion. This was not how conquered species behaved. Prey did not immolate themselves to take predators with them. On the beaches of Los Angeles, a Krell battalion attempted a landing. They were met by a human militia armed with hunting rifles, wide, and flamethrowers made from pesticide sprayers. The fighting lasted 6 hours. By the end, the beach was not sand, it was a slurry of blood, viscera, and silicate shards. The Krell won the beach. They lost 80% of their forces. The humans, having no concept of surrender, simply fell back to the hills and began sniping from sewer grates. High Admiral Thrax watched the live feeds from the sovereign Esfang with growing horror. My Emperor, their casualty rates are illogical. They do not break. They do not rout. They fight to the last individual. And when they run out of weapons, they use rocks. When they run out of rocks, they use their teeth. Vornax snarled. Send the phalanx. Burn the cities from orbit. If they want carnage, give them ashes. The phalanx was a fleet of 300 bombardment ships. They reduced New York, Tokyo, London, and Mumbai to glass craters in 90 minutes. 400 million humans died in the first wave. The Dominion expected surrender. Instead, every remaining human weapons platform from submarines to underground silos launched simultaneously. Nuclear, kinetic, and directed energy weapons filled the sky. The phalanx lost 47 ships to human counterfire. The rest withdrew after detecting radioactive debris fields that interfered with their shields. Then humanity did the unthinkable. They took the fight to space. The human fleet was a joke by Dominion standards. No energy shields, no FTL drives, no plasma cannons. They had retrofitted asteroid miners with railguns and strapped nuclear missiles to civilian cargo haulers. The Dominion laughed as the human fleet approached. Then the humans fired their first salvo not at the capital ships, but at the Sovereign S-Fang's external sensor clusters. Blinded, the dreadnought drifted. 30 human ships, crewed by volunteers who knew they were on a suicide mission, slammed into the dreadnought's hull at full thrust. They didn't have breaching pods. They had boarding shuttles made from welded scrap. They didn't have power armor. They had duct tape and hatred. Commander Elias Vance led the boarding party. He was a 32-year-old former Marine who had lost his wife and daughter in the London glassing. His team of 68 humans, cooks, mechanics, and one 14-year-old girl named Mika, who had stowed away, breached the Sovereign S-Fang through a waste disposal chute. They had no stealth fields. They had no phasing cloaks. They had assault rifles, combat knives, and a single flamethrower. What followed was 3 hours of close-quarters combat that the Krell would later call the Corridor of Screams. Humans fought like feral animals setting ambushes, using the alien ship's own wiring as garrotes, shoving grenades into the mouth slits of Krell helmets. When Mika ran out of ammo, she picked up a fallen Krell blade, which weighed more than she did, and used it to hamstring a charging warrior before Vance shot it in the eye. Vornax watched from his throne room. He saw his elite Praetorian Guard creatures that had slaughtered the warrior monks of H-Shrung get torn apart by a human who had taped 2 plasma pistols together and was firing them while screaming the name of his dead dog. He saw a Krell captain beg for mercy in broken English. The human replied, "We don't take prisoners," and pulled the trigger. By the time Vance's blood-soaked, half-dead team reached the throne room. The Sovereign S-Fang was in chaos. Internal fires, hull breaches, and 15,000 dead Krell. Vance kicked open the doors. Vornax stood, his claws extended, his crown of conquered stars gleaming. The two stared at each other. "You cannot kill me," Vornax said, his voice steady. "I am the Emperor of 1,000 worlds. My death will bring 1,000,000 more ships. You have won nothing." Vance looked at the alien. Then he looked at Mika, who was holding a thermal detonator with a dead man's switch. He turned back to Vornax and smiled. It was not a kind smile. "See? That S where you wrong," Vance said. "You think this is about winning. It's not. It's about sending a message. You came to our world boasting of strength. You called us soft. You said we didn't no carnage." He stepped forward, blood dripping from his chin. "We've been doing this to each other for 10,000 years. Every genocide, every atrocity, every hell you can imagine, we did it to ourselves. And we survived. We learned. We got better at it. You didn't invade a civilization. You poked a hive of things that have forgotten how to sleep because they were too busy dreaming of ways to kill." Vance pulled a detonator from his own vest. "This ship's reactor is now set to overload. You have 30 seconds. Let us see if your boast holds up." Ending. Vance and Mika did not survive. Neither did Vornax. The Sovereign S-Fang exploded over the ruins of London. its debris field raining down like a second. More terrible sun. The remaining Dominion fleet, leaderless and traumatized, attempted to flee. But humanity had one more lesson to teach. They had spent the invasion secretly hacking the Dominion comms network. Every Krell ship received the same transmission, a looped video of the boarding party's helmet cams. Every kill, every scream, every moment of human savagery, broadcast in high definition. And at the end, a single message from the collective human military command. You have 72 hours to leave our solar system. After that, we will not come for your worlds. We will come for your children. We will come for your eggs. We will come for the very memory of your species. We have spent our entire existence perfecting the art of slaughter. You are amateurs. Do not test us again. The Dominion fleet jumped to FTL within 12 hours. They left behind 90,000 dead Krell, 47 destroyed ships, and a story that would spread across the galaxy like a plague. Within a decade, the Dominion collapsed, not because humanity attacked them, they never did, but because every subjugated species, having heard the tale of the hairless apes who fought like demons from a forgotten hell, rose up in rebellions. The Krell were no longer invincible. Humanity had proven that. Earth rebuilt. It took 50 years to fill the glass craters and bury the dead. A memorial was erected in the center of the New London, a simple stone obelisk with 2 words carved into it. They tried, and in every bars, every spaceport, and every military academy across the Orion Arm, a new saying emerged. When a young warrior boasted of their strength, an older one would shake their head and mutter the same warning. Don't poke the humans. They don't know how to lose. And worse, they don't know how to stop. The galaxy never forgot. Humanity's scarred, grieving, and more dangerous than ever, returned to their quiet corner of the cosmos. They did not seek war, but they had learned something too. That their greatest weapon was not their technology, nor their numbers, nor even their hatred. It was the simple, terrifying fact that when backed into a corner, a human would rather burn the whole universe down than beg for mercy. When that, the Krell would tell you if any were left to speak, was the true carnage end of story.